Everyone has the fire, but champions know when to ignite the spark. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Sports for Champions podcast. Today I'm joined by Callum Deboys, Para-Nordic skier. How are you today?
I'm all good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm really well, thanks. Thanks for joining us today. I'd like, if we could, to start off with Beijing. Obviously, such a big achievement to make it to Beijing this time round. What was it like getting selected and how did you find out? If you could tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it was just the most amazing experience of my life. It was an ambition I set out after the loss of my leg, and just to get there and to get on the start line was just the best feeling. It's hard to explain, put into words all the time and effort to get there. It was just such a massive relief.
And then, so for selection, I know obviously there's a set score that you have to achieve, and the way that the selection works for the para events is a little bit different. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the way our qualification for the Paralympic Games starts is the year before the actual Paralympic Games. So we need to get the under 100 points in the year before, and then the year of the Games we then need to just basically start and finish a race and get World Cup points to be able to go to the Games. So it sounds simple, but everyone is trying to push as hard as they can to win races and to get to the Games, so it's super tough.
And do you remember the race where you actually got that qualifying score?
Yeah, I remember the event. It was in Finland, in a place called Vuokatti, and we thought that we were going to get it in the sprint race because it's an easier race to get lower points in. Unfortunately just missed out on it, but then on the actual tougher race in the 5 kilometre we ended up getting I think 80 to 70 points. So for me it was just a massive relief to get under 100 points and to get the qualification standard, but by no means was that my ticket to the Games. There was still a lot of work to be done and to do, and more criteria we had to meet.
Yeah, so obviously you'd been in your sport for a relatively short time after your accident, and we'll touch on that in a little while, but I'm just wondering what that moment was. Do you remember the moment you got the email or the text or the phone call to say that's it, we're qualified, we're going, kind of thing?
Yeah, so I got the email I think 2 months before the Games, or the Paralympics, so it was quite close to the time, so it was really nerve-wracking, but once that email was in my box and I got that confirmation, it was, as I said, a massive relief, and just I'd done it, gave myself a pat on the back, and was able just to do the job.
That's amazing. And then how was the experience of the Games?
The Games was like nothing I've ever experienced before. It's a bit of a dreamland. You're stuck in a village, almost stuck in a village, with China being so strict and COVID, but the whole experience was just amazing. Everything was sort of there for you in one place. You had the food hall, an arcade, everything that you could think of was sorted for you.
Yeah, and in terms of the competition, how did you get on?
The competition was really tough. The male sit ski field is really competitive, and for me, having an accident before the Games as well.
So if we could touch on that a little bit, as it makes sense to do it now. I know that you'd had quite a serious injury heading into the Games, and then there was a bit of a race to recover. How do you find that, and how did it affect your performance? Yeah,
so I was hit by a car when I was out training my bicycle, and I tore my tricep tendon. So that in itself could have put me out of the Games, being such a big significant injury, but just true to myself, I put my head down and pushed through all the pain and just started working hard to get there. For me, I couldn't see anything else apart from getting to the Games. I spent the last 4 years of my life trying to get there, and I wasn't going to stop in the last 4 months. Just pushed through it.
I know that you had surgery around your tendon, which is one of the most sort of intense areas that you use in your sport. What was it like trying to build that up and to sort of regenerate those muscles in time to compete?
Yeah, we threw everything out the window that we'd done before and just went a totally unique way and just tried different things. Tried juggling, throwing tennis balls, catching. We tried everything just to get that tendon moving like it should again, and just to get it as strong as possible. Really, because I use my arms so much skiing, we had to make sure that it was strong enough to withstand doing 5k, 12k. It's a long distance to be pushing through a fairly dodgy tendon, so we had to make sure it was strong enough. So it was really rigorous.
So I guess it makes sense to circle back round to 2017 when you originally got your accident, because I know that you're an acquired amputee, so it's something that's happened to you in your life, and obviously the recovery from that would have helped inform your recovery leading into the games. Could you tell us a little bit about that and how it happened and how it's affected you?
Yeah, so on my way to work one day, I was involved in a really bad road traffic accident. It was completely my fault. I went to overtake a car and didn't see another car coming. And as part of my recovery, I had to be honest with myself and just put my hands up and admit fault for it, which again helped me recover from it. But as part of that accident, I high-sided on my bike, basically got flipped up in the air and landed on my feet. And when I've landed on my feet, it's broke my left femur, 2 bones in my right leg, my pelvis and my spine as well. I had multiple other injuries, but the break in my femur was that bad that unfortunately doctors couldn't save my leg, so unfortunately it had to be amputated, and at the time I was in a coma that was medically induced at the roadside, so it was totally out of my hands. I didn't know what was happening, so as you can imagine it was pretty tough. So the first few days in hospital, I kind of mumped and moaned and was just a bit down about it. But then I thought, well, it's happened. It's not going to grow back. So yeah, may as well just move on my life and try and make something of my life. And I firmly believe that that's where my Paralympic journey started, from conversations with family and friends in the hospital, kind of speaking about my opportunities that I can go and do now. And that life doesn't end with amputation, and for me it just started and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
That's amazing. It's such a positive mindset. Have you always thought in that way?
Not always. I've often struggled with my mental health. Back in 2015 I tried to commit suicide, and thankfully it didn't work, and I'm still here. So mental health's a really big part of my life, and I like to promote positive mental health. And yeah, as I said, like, my accidents completely changed my life and changed my mindset. I think that was a big thing that's kind of helped me try and conquer my mental health struggles.
Yeah. And then do you remember sort of the early conversations around getting into or finding a sport or finding something that you think you were going to enjoy and be good at?
Yeah, so I've always been sporty. I've always been outdoors, and my dad was really keen for me to get out and about again, get into sports, and he helped me kind of get around the country a bit. Same with my mum, my sister. They always supported me, in doing and following my dreams. So yeah, I jumped in with both feet and just went for it because I just knew it was the right time for me to do it. Yeah,
and then I think originally you'd had a look at maybe doing some rowing or something. Did you try a few different sports before settling on Nordic skiing?
Yeah, I tried a lot of sports, and as I said, I tried some rowing at Strathclyde Park, and thankfully my coach John Blair, he knew a Paralympian, Scott Mina, and he gave me the opportunity to go to Germany at the snow tunnel. And that was the first time I'd ever been on skis. I'd never skied before my accident.
So what year was that?
So that was in 2018.
Right, wow.
So only a year after my accident happened, I lost my leg, and a year later I was in Germany starting my Paralympic journey.
That's amazing. And how was it? Did you take to it quite well, or was there a bit of a learning curve there?
There was a massive learning curve. My coaches always go on at me because I'm always breaking skis and breaking equipment, from being a bull in a china shop. But yeah, it's the best thing I've ever done. The challenge every day just to get out of bed and to go and train, and my training schedule's pretty full on. We do a lot of miles, which is essential for an endurance athlete. So I just see it as a massive challenge.
As an endurance athlete, do you think how much of it comes from the way that you physically prepare your body, and how much of it is almost like a mental battle with yourself?
It's essential. The training's absolutely essential. We need to do a lot of miles, but when we're in a race, it is always a mental battle. You're always kind of fighting with your brain to do a bit more, and we're using like so much of our brain power to get every ounce of energy out of our bodies, to push harder, to shoot better, and just to move faster.
So within 4 years of your accident, you'd kind of settled on Nordic skiing as being the kind of route that you were going to take. Do you remember the first time that you kind of realised that you were actually quite good at it and that you could really do something?
I think it started from just being in the snow tunnel. I just fell in love with it straight away. As I said, it's just a good challenge. And yeah, as I said, I just jump into things with both feet and put them all into it. I think that's what you need to do in life, is to just jump in.
And then do you think that obviously the attitude that you developed from coming back from such an awful injury, do you think that you still draw from that when you compete? Is that something that sort of drives you on?
Yeah, so when things start to get tough, I definitely go back to that point of the always could have been worse, and always go back to the why I'm doing it, why I'm pushing so hard, and I just want to give back to the people that have given to me, and for me that's going to the dark places, going to the places that no one likes to be, because that's where you get the most out of yourself and other people. Is when you go to these dark places and know you can go there, but know the other side is so much nicer and greener and better, but you have to go there.
So obviously, having an acquired injury, it must have been a whole new world in terms of experiencing life with a disability. How do you think society kind of reacted to you differently?
It's really difficult because sometimes people are really inquisitive about it and like to ask questions, but then other people will shy away from you. And I feel like now that I have a disability, I'll do it again. So I feel now that I have a disability, I feel like I'm more of a focal point because people see a prosthetic leg that's different. It's not the norm. I feel like I'm getting looked at a lot more, and people will look at my leg a lot more and stuff. So it is quite emotional. Like people tend to see your leg before they see you, which is quite odd. When before it was they seen me and then seen whatever else. So it's just a weird, quite odd kind of thing in life. It's not really that common.
So I think, and I know that the health service in Scotland is set up quite well for people in that situation. Can you tell us a little bit how it went when you first went to get your prosthetic fitted and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the health service in Scotland's unbelievable. So we get prosthetics free on the NHS, and myself, I've got a microprocessor knee, which is the best on the market, which helps me to walk and to live a full life. And without these tools, I couldn't do that. So I'm just so incredibly grateful to the NHS and to the health service for all the help and support that they've given me over the years, and I hope it continues. And the prosthetics service is unbelievable. If I need a new socket, the socket is the bit that my leg goes into. If I need a new socket, they'll make you one as soon as you need it. And yeah, if anything goes wrong with your leg, they'll sort it as soon as they can, and yeah, it's just unbelievable.
It's an incredible piece of technology, really. Could you just tell us a little bit about how it works?
Yep, so my prosthetic leg doesn't work off of my brain, but it basically learns how I walk. It adapts itself to then learn how I walk, my gait, my walking speed. I can also walk up and down stairs with it. So it basically adds resistance in and becomes really stiff. But then when I don't put weight on it, it then goes really loose again. But it basically just works like a normal knee, but made out of titanium, carbon fibre and plastic.
And how do you feel the services are more generally around Scotland for disabled people? I know there's quite a lot of schemes, and there's quite a lot of trusts and things like that set up. Is there a lot of access to help?
Yeah, the support's really good in Scotland. There's always something around the corner to help you. And like Scottish Disability Sport have been a big factor in everything that I've done as well. So just having that support, and the early days trying to get used to having an acquired disability, and then accessing sport and stuff just makes it so much easier. And I think in the times you do just need to really rely on these charities and stuff just to help you, and help you kind of reinvent your life and move on from things. And I work with another charity called Finding Your Feet, who work with people with limb difference, and realising that there is more to life after amputation, and these services you just need to rely on sometimes and are just invaluable for your mental health and physical health. So I've found I relied on it to begin with, and it's nice to give back to things like that.
It's definitely an inspirational message. Is there anything perhaps that you would say to somebody who'd had a similar experience to yours and was maybe thinking about sport or weighing it up?
Sport for me completely changed my life. It took me in a completely different direction that I never thought I'd go in. I'd never really travelled the world, and since becoming an athlete I've been all over the world and experienced all the experiences and met amazing people. And for me that's what life's all about, is going exploring places, putting yourself outside your comfort zone, and just putting your best self out there. So for me that was the biggest thing, was just taking every opportunity that I got after losing my leg and realising that there is more to life. That's
amazing. And were you sporty before your injury? I know you said you played sports a little bit, but could you tell us a bit about that?
Not leading up to my injury. Being in the kitchen was full time, full on.
So you were a chef, weren't you, before?
Yeah, so working as a chef, it's a really, really tough schedule. We're always in the kitchen, always working away. So sports and stuff kind of fall by the wayside. But when I was in school I was always playing sports. Main one was rugby, always cycling, going out fishing. What
position were you in rugby?
Fly half or centre.
Oh, okay, so one of the more skillful ones then. You weren't like a big rugger bugger in the scrum.
No, well I tried to be anyway. I wasn't very good, but I certainly tried anyway.
Yeah. So I guess with a sort of passing interest in sport and then your injury sort of throwing your head first into it, it would be, I guess, something that you would have been relatively talented at, but you'd have had to work equally hard at. How would you see the role of talent and hard work coming against each other within your sport?
Yeah, I think some people are blessed with natural talent, but for me I had to work for everything, and for me from a very young age I was brought up to kind of believe that hard work kind of conquers all, and you need to work hard. If you want to achieve your dreams and goals, you have to work hard for it. And not, as I said, not everyone's blessed with natural talent, but hard work will always outweigh it. And I think that's the most important thing, is to stick by that and trust that what you put in is what you get back.
I think the endurance athletes that we speak to tend to have the most grueling training regimes. How does yours look at the moment?
At the moment, during the summer, we do a lot of miles, so anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours. cycling, roller skiing. So we have a lot of training. I train 6 days a week, 2 sessions a day. So it's a lot of training, split across different things.
How far would you cover in 2 hours?
2 hours on my board, probably about 30 to 40 kilometres,
Wow.
and on the bike, maybe 40 to 50. And on a bicycle, I just cycle single leg,
Oh wow,
so I'm not quite as fast as most people, but I get the job done.
that's amazing. And is all that on total flat, or do you do any hill training?
So we do like hill specific sessions on my roller ski, and I also just cycle everywhere, and roller ski everywhere, so I love it all.
2 sessions a day, I imagine that requires a lot of calories. Fortunately, you were a chef before this life, so how does your nutrition play out?
Yeah, no, I absolutely love eating and making food, so burning all the calories means I can eat more food, which I absolutely love doing. And before being a chef, it certainly helps in making kind of boring, mundane food a little bit more exciting, and just being able to put different twists on it. But sometimes I do just like basic food, and sometimes I do get fed up of cooking. But it is always nice to go back to the skills and be able to cook something nice and tasty.
Do you have a favourite cheat meal, maybe after a big training session, or I don't know, maybe after a competition? I don't know how strict you are with yourself.
Yeah, I think you've got to give yourself some treats. It can't all just be strict diets. You need to have some leeway, but definitely pizza. Pizza's my big one. Yeah, absolutely love the carbs.
And is there something maybe that you do after a big competition? Is there something that you really look forward to, having sort of locked yourself away and been so disciplined for so long?
Especially after Beijing, I just wanted to go out and go and enjoy some time with friends and family, and just eat what I want and drink what I want. Usually during training, I don't really ever drink alcohol. I'm not really a massive fan, but after the Paralympics and all the struggles through it, we had quite a few nights out with the team and with family and friends, so that was just really nice. But yeah, probably usually just eat food to relax and wind down.
And obviously so many sacrifices you have to make in order to sort of be at the top level of sport. How would you say that the life of a professional athlete measures up? I'm going to start that again because I stumbled through it. So obviously there's so many sacrifices that you have to make to achieve the top level within your sport. How would you compare the life of a professional athlete with maybe some other professions?
For me, we sacrifice it because we love it, but I don't really feel like I actually sacrifice anything, because I'm doing what I love to do and I get to do that every day. So it's a bit of an honour for me to be able to go and represent my country. So the sacrifices aren't really that big a deal for me. And I'm not, as I said, I'm not really a massive drinker. So like I don't really miss going out at the weekends and stuff. And yeah, I don't really tend to get too drawn into sort of the emotions. I try and stay as positive as I can.
And do you have a favourite sporting hero?
I don't really have many heroes. I'd probably say I look up to like Chris Hottie. Just what he done in his career was incredible. And just motorbike racers, I absolutely love motorbike racing. So like Michael Dunlop, especially at the time of my accident, he sent me quite a nice message. And yeah, I absolutely love motorbikes, so anything to do with bike racing's big for me.
That's really cool. And do you have a favourite sporting quote?
So my favourite quote, it's not really a sporting quote, but it's from Winston Churchill. That was, if you're going through hell, keep going. And I feel like I've been able to apply that to a lot of times in my life, where it's felt like hell, it's felt like the lowest, especially when I tried to commit suicide and stuff. That's rock bottom. But I kept going, and push through all the emotions that come after it, and just kept going, and it's brought me to here.
So obviously a lot of the challenges that you've faced in your life have informed your career in sport so far. Is there anything that you take from your sport and then sort of put into place in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I tried to put in the discipline through my day-to-day life, and bring that forward and be as disciplined as I can. I very much like structure. My mind likes structure, and when that kind of gets disrupted, I get disrupted, and my emotions kind of tend to drop. So I just try and stay as structured and stay on program, and sort of be quite stringent with it and strict with myself. It sounds quite boring and quite odd, but it works for me, and everyone's different and everyone has their own things that work for them, and that's just what works for me.
Do you think that being an athlete has made you a better person?
I don't think it's made me a better person. I think it's helped me grow as a person. I think I've always been that person. I just had to evolve and to grow. So being an athlete's definitely helped me grow, and it's been the biggest thing in being able to sort my life out. It's the power of sport. It helps people heal. It helps people communicate, and just helps emotion. So I use it as a big emotional release.
And how are you at controlling your emotions when it comes to competing?
Controlling emotions when competing is really tough. For a biathlete, it's even tougher when you get on the mat and you have to shoot, calm your heart rate down. And once you've done all that, that little voice in the back of your head can start talking. So being able to control that is, I think, the biggest thing that's going to help athletic performance. Being able to control that voice in the back of your mind and just help you access your full potential.
So maybe tell the viewers a little bit about that, because obviously there's two parts to your sport. You've got the kind of the flat endurance race, and then you have shooting as well.
Yep, so our cross country is we tackle everything: uphills, downhills, flats, corners. We pretty much do it all. And I also do biathlon, which adds the difficulty of shooting. So basically we use a .77 air rifle, and we shoot at 10 metres at a target that's about a 5 pence piece.
Wow.
So we get 5 opportunities to hit the target, so it's little arms that come up if you hit it. If you miss the target, you either have to do 100 metre penalty loop, or you have to get a minute added onto your time. So the races are either an individual, a sprint, or a middle distance. So for the sprint and middle, you have to do penalty loops. So that's either 10 shots or 20 shots. So you could either do another full kilometre onto your race distance, or 2 kilometres onto your race distance.
Wow.
And then in the individual, you'll get a minute added on to the end of your time. So you could accrue 20 minutes added on to your time after you finish the race. So it's a really big incentive to be able to shoot good.
So how far would you have travelled when you come to shoot normally?
So normally the laps are 2 kilometres or 2.5 kilometres, and then we need to shoot.
So I imagine your heart's racing by the time that you get to actually go to shoot. Is there anything that you try and do to calm that down?
Yeah, so we usually come in to the range with a heart rate at about 180 to 170 beats per minute. So it's a really high heart rate. So we just have kind of set rhythms that we shoot in. So for me, it's taking 3 breaths, taking a shot, and then 2 breaths. But yeah, you just do everything you can just to slow the mind down and slow your heart rate down.
And are you a good shot, would you say?
I'm getting better. I'm good in training, and then when you get to racing, it adds a whole new difficulty. You have that race mindset, and you just want to get in and out of the range super quick. But it's one of the things that just time conquers all. You just need time on the range, and you just need to put down as many shots as you can.
So obviously you said before, if you miss a shot, that you've got the choice of adding a minute to your time or doing another kilometre. Was it 1 kilometre added on?
So basically, in an individual race, so it depends on the race type. So if it's an individual, you'll get a minute added onto your time. But if it's a sprint or a middle distance, you do a 100-meter penalty loop for every shot you miss. So we do 10 shots, so that could be another kilometre added onto your race.
So would you still, so you do the extra 100 metres, do you then have to shoot again directly after that?
No, so basically basically what you'll do is you'll come into the range, you'll go onto the mat, you'll get handed your rifle, and you'll take your 5 shots. And if you miss any one of the 5 shots, you'll then ski out of the range and go into the penalty loop if you've missed. If you've not missed, you can ski past the penalty loop and go and start your 2 kilometre or 2.5 kilometre lap again. So it's really tactical, and if you see someone doing range loops, it gets you excited because you think, oh, am I now in front of them, or where am I? Because most of our races are against the clock. So the better time you get, the higher you are on the leaderboard.
I can imagine it almost a bit like Mario Kart, if you're out in front and then you miss a few shots and suddenly you find yourself right at the back again. That must be so frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. It is probably one of the most exciting races to watch because it can change on the flip of a coin. You can be winning a race by 5 minutes and then be right back in it if you miss a couple of shots.
Amazing. And have you got any sort of routine to calm your butterflies in those kind of occasions, or is it just the breathing? Is there somewhere you go to in your head?
I think it depends on the day and depends on the amount of butterflies I've got. Some days I'll totally isolate myself and just stay away from everyone, maybe listen to some music or something, or some days I like to shamefully listen to Disney in the wax cabins. Me and one of the boys just love it. It just relaxes you and calms you down.
I was going to ask you what kind of music you listen to. It wouldn't have been my first guess. What's your favourite Disney song?
Got to be something from Lion King. I don't know if I can choose one song.
I won't ask for a rendition. You're okay. Cool. And then, is there any music that you listen to just before you compete? Is there like something that you could get? Like, do you prefer to hype yourself up, or would you prefer to calm yourself down?
With my mind, I'm usually overthinking things and constantly thinking, so I like to calm myself down until it's go time. So when we're getting changed in the wax cabin, we'll listen to something quite chill, or it just depends on the day. And then when it gets closer to race, I like to then kind of hype myself up a bit, so I'll maybe put something a bit more like dancey or energetic on, just to kind of get things ready and moving.
Awesome. So obviously such a successful year this year with representing the country at Beijing. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year?
For the rest of the year, just staying injury free. I think for every athlete that's high on the priority list. And just keep doing the same things, doing the right things, and moving forward and progressing, and just keep learning, really.
Is there any major goals for your sport? Is there something that you'd really like to tick off before the end of your career?
Again, I'd love to get to another few Paralympics. So the next one's Milan for us. So I'd love to get to Milan, and hopefully we'll get a few medals at some point. That would be a massive dream come true.
And would you have any advice for young people who are maybe looking to get into sport?
For me, just follow your dreams. If you want to do something, go and give it a shot. Just put yourself out there and don't be afraid of what other people are going to think of you. You have one life and you need to live it.
That's perfect. And finally, this is something that we ask to all of our guests. Do you have a favourite sporting mantra? Maybe something that you repeat to yourself as you're just about to set off, or something like that?
Yeah, one of my coaches, and I told this to my girlfriend the other day, he told me, if I'm ever doubt myself, just say believe and achieve. That's just stuck in my mind, and it works for me, and just helps me get in the right mindset.
I think believe and achieve, it fits quite nicely with what we do here at Sports for Champions. I'm just interested to see how Sports for Champions is going to help you in your career.
Yeah, it's just going to help to get my name out there and just relieve some of the pressure. Being an athlete, it's hard, it's expensive, So it's just going to allow me to have a little bit more breathing space. And also it helps my mental health by going and talking to people and helping people. So I just want to help and inspire the next generation and hopefully promote better mental health and physical health.
That's fantastic. Well, best of luck for the rest of the year. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
No, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for listening.
More than welcome. Well, thanks to you guys too for joining us. It's been another episode of the Sports for Champions podcast, and we'll see you next time. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, be sure to leave us a like and a subscribe, and check out all our other videos for some more great interviews and content. Bye.